Welcome to Unholier, our wonderful podcast here. I'm with Jenny today, and we're having our really fun time where we get to hang out and just share some of the behind the scenes of what church life was like for those who didn't grow up in it or maybe weren't as obsessively devoted like our parents
Yeah, that's a good way to put
I
it.
mean, like, you really just don't know how the sausage gets made. And I don't know if you've ever heard that term. I heard it a few years ago of that is the behind the scenes in church. It is nasty, but a great way to say it.
Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah, you're in for a treat today, guys, because Susie and I both grew up in pastors' homes. So we saw a lot of the behind the scenes and kind of the things that the general public in church don't know about, or even the general public in general don't
Right.
know about, and what you got to deal with and what you're exposed to.
And it's because Sunday morning is a big production. Sunday morning, and whether you have one or two services, Sunday evening, even Wednesday night, Thursday night visitation, Saturday morning, choir, those are all like put your best face forward. And then
Mhm.
all the dirty work happens these other times during the week during church. My mom was a church secretary, and then of course became administrative assistant for all the years that till I got into college. And
Yeah.
so that is probably one of the most undervalued positions in the entire world, I will say, of like ways that people are treated. And usually it's like a pastor's wife that gets the job for free because she's married to the pastor. I say for free, air quotes, people, because it so you work your tail off.
I was literally just going to ask, did she get paid for that position? Because I recently saw a reel where they were talking about statistics of women that work in churches but do not get paid a salary. Or if they do get paid a salary, it's like less than minimum wage.
Yeah.
We're taught that you have to look at it as a ministry. This is the Lord's work.
Right.
Okay. But all the men are getting paid that are on staff. So is it really the Lord's work, y'all? I'm just saying.
And why is it the Lord's work is always so cheap?
Oh, yeah. I remember when we started going to the last church we went to, and this was my husband's first church. He has a lot of talent. He knows how to do a lot of things, and we have a business that we've had for over 10 years. And so word got around what his abilities are. And then it was like, oh, can you fabricate this steel cross for the baptistry? Can you construct these cool rustic Christmas trees that we'll use for Christmas on the platform? Can you do these big Edison light things that hang down from the ceiling? And it was like, he wasn't paid for any of that. And I remember him saying, do we send them an invoice? Like, how does this work? And I was like, honestly, just an FYI, you do not get paid for doing things at the church. Should have told you up front. But yeah, that is part of your being a Christian. You just got to do things for free. And I did actually send an invoice to the church for the materials because I'm like, we're not paying for the materials. Labor, fine. We'll write it off as a tithe or whatever. But that's the way I looked at it. I was like, yeah, we don't get paid. Sorry, the church doesn't do that typically, which I don't think is right. I really don't, because then I also know that a lot of people, a lot of pastors have had members over to their house to renovate their house for free and do lawn work for free and all kinds of stuff. Like members of the church come into
Mhm.
their house and doing stuff for free at the pastor's house or the assistant pastor's house or the youth pastor's house. And it's like, these people, they deserve to have a paycheck too. I don't know.
Oh, I
It's,
know. That is what you just described is every single thing that we did growing up for pastors or had ourselves. It was actually really rare that we got it for ourselves. Like mostly because one, I know my mom was really embarrassed about taking the house. So it's a weird position when she was also the church secretary because no one wanted to help out someone of such a lowly position at the church. And
mm,
even though there's a pastor there, but he had skills, so he could do a lot of that himself, like construction
yeah.
stuff. and things like that, where it's just really interesting the weird dynamics that happen there. And but like for ourselves, now that we're older, I have also done Christmas decorations, like all of them put together
Yeah.
for weeks and weeks and weeks at your house. And then you go, so Easter decorations, Christmas, Thanksgiving. It depends on, as soon as the pastor knows that you have these skills, and then he wants to rotate them out for different seasons,
Oh yeah.
different holidays. Like
Yeah.
we talked about, and this is such a great episode to come out right now because Vacation Bible School is about to start.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I know the people that would have to. Now, I always excluded myself from that because I'm like, yeah, no, I'm all set. I'm not like, I
Why do you
can
say that?
decorate,
I'm all
like, I'm
set.
good interior design, decorating, stuff like that. But when it comes to like sets and like kid looking stuff, I'm out. Like, I could never be a teacher because I know they make you like do things to the classroom to make it all fun and stuff. I'm out. I can't do it. So that was not my bag,
Oh,
luckily.
it's so awesome that you just say it like that. And I was never like confident enough to tell a pastor that because we were always first my dad being a pastor, but then also like other pastors, their word is firm. And if they ask you to do something, like
Mhm.
they're always the approach is the Lord has told me that
Yeah.
he would he's put it on my heart that you should go ahead and do this for us. I think
Yeah.
it's such an amazing use of your talents that
Oh yeah. Yes.
do this for us. And it's so worded in that some it's like a trap. If you don't, then God is going to curse you based on especially your talents. And talents, like for anybody who doesn't know, that's a very biblical word of the idea. There's a verse where the talents were given to so many people, and the one just buried him and didn't do anything with him. And then Jesus was like, I'm taking your talents away. And then, even though it was
Yeah.
referring to money, but then your spiritual gifts or talents. And then we
Yeah.
did a class in college at the church where they were like, this is your spiritual gift. Help out with Vacation Bible School.
Yeah. Like your spiritual gift is building a set for Vacation Bible School. It's like, give me a break. Yeah, you just made that up, bro, just to get me to do this. Like, not
For
happening.
free. For free. That's the key.
Yeah, for free.
So,
Yeah.
man, I have put together, I've been in so many Vacation Bible schools and so many put together curriculum for them, put together sets, transform the whole church. And then what happens is there's almost, so they say 90% of the work gets done by 10% of the people in a
Mhm.
church. I don't know if that's the way it is. And
I thought it was 80-20, but either way, it doesn't matter.
I
It's
was thinking,
still a big, it's not even close to being even. Yeah.
I think our churches are just really like apathetic and lackadaisical because it was a 90-10 split there.
Oh, yeah, some of them are.
Ah,
I will admit that when we first started going, we were part of the 10% that were like there all the time, helping out, doing all kinds of stuff, volunteering, of course. And then we became part of the 90% because we're like, okay, this is like affecting our actual workload and our actual time with our family. And like, it was just too much. It was too much. So we
right.
pulled back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting because, like you said, when you're more involved and you get close to the staff or the full time ministry staff and those people, those key people within the church, then you start to really see the kind of personality that they have behind closed doors and things that they might say or do, which is very interesting and eye opening, I will say.
Oh my gosh, I know. What's so fascinating to me is those times that you're and we'll have an episode. I think we need to devote one specifically to this. We talked about last night on our live of the Sunday suit and a smile. It
Yes.
comes out on Sunday. It's like the glad handing, the happy face, that pastor who's so kind to you on Sunday. And then you see them in the office on Monday and they are yelling and railing at the fact that the bulletin was not done. So and so never showed up to do the song they or like the sound was not the right way. That
The sound guy. It's always the sound
I
guy.
know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, for people who don't know, it is a production every Sunday.
Yeah.
And the superstar is the pastor, and it's got to revolve around the pastor, the choir director, and like special music for the tithe, and then during the closing stuff. And so if it does not go right on a Sunday, usually that church secretary gets the brunt of it. And like anybody who happens to be in the office there, like I
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Or like a poor, like widowed lady that comes in and helps do the banking on Monday. And she's just
I
counting the money and she's,
know. Oh my gosh. And you know what's interesting is that so like most pastors, for people who don't know, take Monday off because wow, what a huge production they just did on Sunday. But the church secretaries still have to be there
yeah.
throughout the week. And then yeah, they only come in to put out any fires if stuff was said. Like you were talking about last night with your Mother's Day debacle and the exorcism stuff that happened at
Yes.
your
Oh
church.
my gosh. That was
Right.
crazy, you guys. That was so crazy.
Oh my
And then
God.
it was a running joke. Like it all began on Mother's Day. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That was such a dramatic thing that my religious trauma started that day on Mother's Day. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Oh man, I totally believe it. And then like it's this stuff I still remember. So with my mom working in the church when I was in high school, I got to do some college classes. So I just pop over and meet her for lunch. Pastors could stay out however long. They are the thinking people. They're coming up with a sermon. They are just generating
Yeah.
in their brains. So they don't, their salary. So they never have to follow a schedule for lunch. If they want to take someone out, they can do that. But like the
Mhm.
poor just worker bees there are hourly. And even though you're like you said, they're barely paid anything, like maybe minimum wage, maybe not. Where and then also they're like, oh, we know you're gonna tithe that too. So
I
we're
was just gonna say that.
you knew it.
Just gonna say that. Yeah,
So
you're literally paid peanuts and you're expected to tithe on the peanuts that you get.
right. And then they
Oh, I
and then
can't. I
like,
just can't.
oh, I know. It's so crazy. And you're right, like the little volunteers, little volunteer, like I say that. I just remember so much for a while there, we went to a really big church, had 1,200 people and three services. And so like bulletins or handouts for Sunday school, like I'd just be back in the copy room with my mom while she's just constantly copying stuff. And if they didn't get it right, or like the pastor wanted to change it, is what I mean, it would have to be redone. And it's always
Oh yeah.
Terry's fault. And
Yeah. Then you're either there late on Saturday night,
mhm,
like frantically trying to get it done, or
yeah,
you're there at the butt crack of dawn on Sunday morning before church starts trying to get this stupid bulletin done.
I know. What's so funny is that we're at a retirement community down here in Texas. And so we'd go down and hang out with them on the weekends. And they were doing the bulletins for their little church group there too. And like Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, we're just folding bulletins. And it's so crazy how this same process that has been going on for, I almost said hundreds of years, probably, it still continues today. Same thing
Mhm.
behind the scenes of a church where it's the only thing that stopped us on Saturday nights would be a wedding that we would
Oh,
and then take down, like the families would leave, and then you're left with a huge mess of cleaning up, decorating.
food.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
And tons of food, because that's all the Baptists can do at a wedding is eat. Because you cannot dance. You cannot have music unless it's Christian music. There is definitely no alcohol, so no fun at all. Yeah, that's just basically you're going to a banquet. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because Jesus didn't turn water into wine, Susie. He turned it into Welch's grape juice. We all know this.
Yeah. Yeah. The alcohol content was way different in the past, and no one ever got drunk. I just love it. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. When he pops that cork in heaven, it's really just a bottle of apple cider, sparkling apple cider.
Sparkling cider, non-alcoholic,
Yeah, of course. Of
or
course.
Welch's grape juice, which,
Yeah.
I will have to say, I got to go down a rabbit trail for a second since we were talking about Welch's grape juice.
Huh?
You know what is so funny to me? So I don't know. This always bothered me, but when we would have communion at the church that we used to go to, not my dad's church, whenever we would have communion, it was very like almost like you were going to a funeral service.
Yes. Yeah.
It was like he, as the pastor, would be up front, and the deacons would all be like
Yes.
lined up around, like next to him, sitting down. Everyone would be very like solemn and respectful, and it was just a very like more of a somber type
Yes.
service. And then we would respectfully, the deacons would prepare
Mhm.
the little communion pieces and the cups with the grape juice and all that. They would prepare all of it and they'd have it in the tray and they'd pass it, and everyone would be real careful and take it out and do all that. And it was like a thing. It was almost like a ceremony.
Very special. And it, like, for people who do not know, there, and maybe this is only Baptist. We've been to a couple of other churches where their communion was so different. And then my eyeballs are like, what the heck is happening right now? This is deserves an exorcism. Like,
Yes. So during COVID, the church that we were going to, they started using these cups with lids like that you peel off
yes.
to go, like little to go communion cups. Okay, fine. During COVID, that's fine. But COVID's over. I don't know if you guys know this. COVID is over
Right.
and they're still using them. And I'm like, could y'all get any lazier? You're ordering that. And I'm telling you right now, when I was in elementary school, we used to have those little, they look like barrels, the
Yes.
little juices, the little grape or red or orange juices, and the little plastic barrel looking things.
For the aluminum
It
top.
is that juice. I'm telling you right now, it tastes exactly the same. And
Yeah.
it's from Amazon, and they're using that for communion. And I'm sorry, I'm not a churchgoer anymore, but to me, that just rubs me the wrong way. It just does. It just seems disrespectful. It seems honestly sacrilegious. Like you're supposedly saying that this symbolizes the blood and the body of Christ, and you're ordering it from freaking Amazon.
Right.
Guys, do better. And then also, you're like, oh, it's not wine, it's grape juice that Jesus was talking about and using. I can't, with that argument, I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like they just phoned in communion. Or what has happened,
Yeah.
that church bought tons because they thought like people were just going to flock to the churches during COVID, still using the same containers, regardless of
Yeah.
expiration date.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same little barrels when we were kids, and they were always like icy still. And so you go to drink it, and then a big gob of ice would just fall over all over your shirt.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh man. Yeah. Like so here, I think like we serial date churches. We just bounce around to different churches every once in a while. We're like, let's try it out. And so
Yeah.
we went to one where they gave you a chunk of bread and then you dipped it in the cup. Everybody dipped it in the cup. This is after COVID. And I'm like,
What cup did you dip it in? What were you dipping it in? Like
chalice.
olive oil?
No, you dipped it in a cup of juice.
Be like, is that melted butter or something?
Like the Holy
Cool.
Grail, the Holy Grail cup, this big thing, and they just dipped it in there. And I was set up on stage, and they do this every Sunday. And what I love, what you're talking about, it was so like ceremonial in the Baptist church.
Yeah,
It's
which
like
I can appreciate that.
once a quarter, maybe, and they're like,
Yeah.
Sunday, we shall be having communion, and it's so somber.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you were talking about it, I got all like nervous because I used to have to do the special music with my flute during union, and then like I'm getting all like the nerves.
Yeah.
And gosh, one time I had to, so I switched from the flute to the oboe my senior year so I could expand my
wow.
ability. But you act like it's, oh wow, she switched to the oboe. No,
No, the oboe was hard because you have
it
that
really
little
was.
reed and you have
Yes.
to like really train your palate to be able
Wow.
to do that. It's so different from because I was a flautist as well.
Love it. I love it. I
We
think,
both played the flute, which is so funny. But yeah, you're going from like your mouth is totally different when you're doing a flute versus an oboe. So that's why I was impressed because I know that it does take a lot of effort
oh
to
man.
play the
Yeah.
oboe. Yeah.
I had a Sunday where I was supposed to, I'd switch and I was playing the oboe for the special music. And then I just totally locked up and I couldn't make any sound come out of it except like a duck noise.
Oh gosh, that's the
Oh my God. It
worst.
really is. It's so bad.
Or like your reed cracks, or
Yes.
your reed isn't, I hate the word moist, guys. Sorry, I gotta say it. That's the only thing I can think of. If your weed,
Screaming the voice. Yes. And it gets cracked. And
it
then
goes,
and
yeah,
I've gotten it caught
it's
where
sweet.
I cut my tongue on it because it got cracked. And then you're
Oh
still
my
trying.
gosh.
Yes. It's ridiculous where you're trying to play and then you get it stuck. Oh my God.
Yeah, or it squeaks because it's
Because you're just, oh my gosh.
the oboe. But I was in band in high school, in Christian school, and when the oboes or the clarinets would squeak, oh my gosh, hilarious.
It reminds me of a teenage boy and their voice cracking. You're just a man and the squeak. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I had very specific reasons for because I started playing the flute in fourth grade, and I'm like, I'm gonna get out of this crazy life, and I'm gonna do it on a flute scholarship to go to college. And that was fourth grade. And then I babysat, to get tutoring lessons, and then
Wow.
I wish someone would have told me everyone and their dog plays the flute, like so many people. And then that's why I switched to the oboe. But then when I got in
Yeah.
college, I was going into sports medicine and physical therapy. And band practice was at the same time as some of my science labs. No one, like, where was the counselor to tell me all of that? I should have picked up the guitar and played the guitar
Yes.
instead. Man, that's
Oh,
so much more useful in real life now.
it
Like,
is.
you're playing around a bonfire. No one wants to hear the flute or an oboe.
This is true. Yes, you are speaking facts. But I can relate to you though when it comes to being pressured to do like specials or something. Oh my gosh. Oh, I still have PTSD, I swear. Like just being called out and being like, why don't you come up here and sing a song for this before the message? Or so and so was supposed to do the special this morning. And then you're being looked at. You got to figure something out because we need a special. And you're like, I don't know what to do. Oh, I hated being put on the spot. I just hated it. And it was like, as a pastor's kid, I'm sure you can attest to the fact that we're obligated to be in everything, be
Yeah.
at everything, be involved in everything. Like, you didn't have a choice in the matter. It was like, oh, you play the piano. Oh, cool.
Right.
That is why we gave you lessons all these years. You're going to be the church pianist.
Yeah.
Oh, you can sing? Okay, cool. You're doing the special.
Yes.
You got to sing in the choir. You got to, it's, oh my gosh. It's a
Yeah,
lot of pressure. It really is.
it is. And even if you never volunteered or knew that you were going to have to volunteer, if either of your parents did, right there with them every
Oh,
time, like
yeah.
all of it. Uh,
Yeah.
it's for people who didn't grow up like this, like you have no idea what it's like to be, oh yeah, you're gonna provide the food for this service, like this funeral or this wedding, even sometimes, and then you just are. I remember we made pedophores for a Mother's Day event, like
The
hundreds.
little sandwiches.
Yes, yeah, like the little dessert. They were little desserts
Oh, okay. I thought they were the little sandwiches.
for Mother's Day banquet, or and then there was like,
Or like a mother daughter tea.
yes, oh,
Yeah. All those.
all behind the scenes and like the stress
Yeah.
of the chaos of putting that all together. I'll tell you, like church women to get together with them later were so catty about how to do all that stuff, or baby showers, or wedding.
Oh, baby showers. Yeah. 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 It's like we're talking about, on one hand, being a church member and having to use our talents for free because you're doing the Lord's work and you got to look at it as a ministry and you can't bury your talents or God's going to do something to you. But then on the other side of the coin, if you are a pastor's family, you can also attest to the fact that there is a lot of, especially if you're in a smaller church where the pastor's family is the ones that do everything and there isn't a whole lot of volunteer work. So you're there. I remember being, we're talking about bulletins. I remember being at the church late a lot of times on a Saturday night because every day of the week you got something going on at the church. And then
Yeah.
my mom's doing the bulletin.
Mhm.
And I remember they didn't even have the internet back then. So she's taken these little clip art. And I think that's where the term came from, clip art, because you're literally clipping it out and then you're sticking on a piece of paper and then you're putting it on a risograph. Do you remember risographs? You're putting it on the risograph machine and then that is like making a hard copy and then you're putting it through the Xerox machine. And it's, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do this like it, and then it spins and puts out the design, and then you put it on the copy machine. Oh my God.
Yes. I know that totally dated us, but whatever. I just remember it wasn't as simple as going into a Word document like you could do now or whatever people use to do a bulletin at this point, and just grabbing an image from whatever file and just taking it and pasting it and printing it out. It was so much more complicated, but it's like you have those aspects, right? You have the little nitty gritty of the church operation, the
Mhm.
behind the scenes of that, and how like hectic and crazy and like thankless it can be. And literally, you don't get paid to do it. But then you also have the crazy people in the church who, my dad, he had some of the craziest deacons I think I have ever heard. Some of the craziest deacons. We had one revival meeting. They always called it the fall fellowship because it was like inviting all these different pastors and evangelists and missionaries from all over to come and have a fellowship where they could
Yeah.
all fellowship and they could all like maybe network with each other, and evangelists could book meetings at different churches and stuff like that. And it was a 3-day thing in the fall.
Yeah.
It was a big deal at our church. And so every year we'd have it. And one year, one of the deacons came in drunk off his butt
Oh my gosh.
and was so drunk that he was admitting to this affair that he was having with another member's wife, going into great detail about all of this. Now, of course, he was shooed into my dad's office with some of the other deacons, but literally, like, just word vomiting, like all the stuff that him and this woman had done together and whatever. And so it's like the typical membership wouldn't have known anything about that.
Right.
But because it's like you're the pastor's family, you know about that stuff. Like you find out the nitty gritty of all the things and everything that goes down. It's, oh my gosh. We had one lady show up at our house at 2 a.m, barefoot. She was like scared her husband was threatening to kill her. And she literally took off barefoot in the middle of the night and came to our house.
Wow.
We had death threats on our house at one point. We had people that were threatening to burn our house down at one point. It got, there were times that it was like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Can we just be a normal family like everybody else? And then all my life, that's all I knew was that aspect of the ministry. Being a pastor's daughter, you get that. And then was it weird for you when you like got out of that and then went back into church as like a member? Was that kind of a weird transition for you?
My parents always had, they bounced around because of the bad stuff they were doing.
Yeah.
Then later, when it it was found out that I was a pastor's daughter, so then as an adult now, they were like, "Oh my gosh, you know what this is? You can help us out more." And so I did. And what's weird is that I do not get close to pastors now. Like it, even later as an adult, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're a pastor's kid. This is so great. Let's hang out. Let's do stuff." I know what those pastors are really like behind the
Mhm.
scenes, and usually
Yeah, a lot of them.
so
Yeah.
mean. And so I'm like, I do not want to get close to them. I don't want to hang out. I don't want to spend time with them because they're so snotty usually. Excited. Having my mom as a church secretary really showed the way that they treat the little people, where they might just be so like friendly and nice. But then if they, I just know. So I don't ever get close to them anymore. And
Yeah.
I do, yeah, we have not committed to a church in a long time.
Yeah.
is
I
that
hear you.
we started going to this Catholic church down the street. And this is totally different. What's super cool is it's very like predictable. The sermons are so like short, and then we're done like in an hour, and it's very predictable. It's all written out already for the year, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm not going to have a pastor like shouting. There's no like crazy special music. I'll tell you, like, there are times I've been in like special music and it's so bad you're just cringing. You're like, oh my gosh, she sounds terrible, or he sounds terrible.
Yes.
Yeah. And then,
Oh my gosh.
but what's crazy is they had a huge like thing the week after Easter where they did like a whole like festival, carnival like that, and tons of people volunteered. I don't know how they even got that to happen. Like, tons of people were involved. And they were doing like Friday night fish fries for the church.
Okay. Yeah, you're talking about like the Catholic Church.
How are so many people volunteering a part of this? And they
Yeah.
donuts on Sunday morning, and there are tons of people helping out. This is really unusual for me because all of the behind the scenes of all these years, and it's usually this like one or two people putting it all together, and to see
Yeah.
so many people are volunteering and they're happy. I don't know. I'm very suspicious of it. um,
Oh man, I know what you mean though. Like, why are they really there? What are they getting from this? What are they doing?
Right. And where are they getting the money for so many donuts? Like my kids are always like, donuts. This is so awesome. They give them away freely. This is not like the type of church where they're like one donut, or they cut them into tiny pieces, like half a donut, because no one brought the rest, and then like they were supposed to, and then everybody gets a quarter of a donut,
Yeah.
bit of coffee, like at a
Yeah.
well. I'm not gonna say it's just Baptist churches because we've gone to a lot of other
Yeah.
churches, but it's so weird to be at a place where like stuff is working out. And I am so suspicious. Even now, like my eyes are like,
You think stuff is working out, but again, we're talking about how the sausage is made, and you're not behind the scenes at that church. So you don't know. And that's really for the listeners to understand. If you're just a churchgoer and a pew warmer and you're not getting involved, you really don't know how the sausage is made. And yeah, there's drama in every church. I don't care what church you go to, there is drama going on behind the scenes in one way or another. I'll
there's
tell you another story. When my dad took over the church here in Detroit, Michigan, and that was years and years ago. The pastor that was retiring at the time, there was all kinds of scandals going on. That, for my older crowd that's listening, if you know what Peyton's Place is, you know what I'm talking about. For my younger crowd, Melrose Place. Okay. That was the church that my dad took over. And it was, the pastor was sleeping with the secretary. The organist was sleeping with the song leader. It was people everywhere, like swapping. It was like wife swap or whatever they call it, spouse swap or whatever. It was literally insane. And there was so much of that going on. And I don't know. My husband, he didn't grow up in church. And so when he sees things and he gets a vibe, because he's got what they call street smarts.
Mhm.
And he gets a vibe from people. And we would go to this church and he'd be like, oh, those two are swingers. Those two are having an affair. Those two are. And I'd be like, no, they're not. Like, you're crazy. He's on the platform singing. This guy's the assistant pastor. This person's the nursery worker, whatever, leader. You're crazy. You're nuts. Then you find out one day we open our phone and we're in a group text with the assistant pastor and we have a nitpick from the pastor. It's like, what in the actual is going on? It's like once something like that happens to you, your eyes are open. There's nothing that anyone can say or do to convince you otherwise that y'all aren't hypocrites. That is the problem that I have. If you're just a regular church member and you're just trying to be a good person and you go on Sunday and whatever, and you're being a nice person throughout the week and helping people and whatever, you're a good person. And you want to do that in your private life, that is nobody's business but yours. That's fine. Like you and your wife, your spouse, whatever. But if you are a pastor or an assistant pastor or even a deacon, I don't care. If you are one of those people that have put yourself up in a position on a pedestal to be holier than thou, and this is why we call our podcast what we call it,
Yeah.
and you are doing these things on the side, you should probably like stop. You should probably find something else to do with your life because you are not qualified in my eyes anymore. Don't get up on Sunday and act all raise your hands and close your eyes and be all like, "Oh, Jesus, we love you." And then you're
Right.
sending me and my husband pictures. Like I can't. I'm sorry. I just had to say it. And I'm not saying names. I didn't say any names, but it
Yeah.
ain't right. And the
Yes.
apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It does not fall far from the tree.
Yeah, it's so true. And what's interesting is that there is always so much drama like that, and
Seriously.
so much. And you're right, where these people are setting themselves up as moral leaders. Hey, this is how you
Oh,
should.
I can't stand it. Yeah.
And then they are doing all this stuff. I just remember, I mean, like the infighting within the church. Like I joined the church worship band for a while here a couple of years
Ooh,
ago. There was a split.
so
There,
much drama.
oh, there really is so much. One worship practice, we met the other group coming and going, and they were just really pissed that we had taken up too much time. The assistant pastor who was in charge of our group, like, just felt like the other singers were going too long and it was too loud. And so he wanted to start his own band. He started his own band. Like,
Oh my gosh.
heavy metal.
The band split up and then he started his own.
Yes. And so
Wow.
and then all he did was sit around and gossip about the other group and what was happening on the other team and
Wow.
A and B team of the worship teams. And I'm like, this is a waste of my time. Like I could
Yeah.
be doing something better, watching TV even.
Yeah, exactly. And it's okay. You're on Sunday, you're sitting there in the worship band and like talking about these people, and they're probably closing their eyes and waving their hand up in the air, like, oh, Jesus. And
All
yet they're sitting there fighting and gossiping and all the things like behind the scenes.
yeah.
Like I just can't. That's the thing that I hate is the fakeness. Growing up in the church as a pastor's daughter, like you did have to put on like a fakeness about you at times because there were times where I would know the people that were causing problems in the church, yet I couldn't act any differently towards them than I'm acting towards, sister so and so over here. I have to be nice to everyone or it's going to throw my dad under the bus. I hate
Yes.
being fake. I hate it.
Oh, I know. You just get to a point where you're like, and that's what I found. Like, I just got so tired of pretending that everything's great and that, oh, the Lord's taking care of us. And then life is a dumpster fire. It's absolutely.
Yes.
And then, but you've got that smile. Oh, God's taking care of us. The Lord will see us through. And then you're just want to vomit everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
I got to the point where I just could not go anymore when I just wanted to stand up and say, liar.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
scream at the pastor. And I remember one Sunday, one of the church we were going to, I was helping out with the youth group, and the youth leader, not a pastor, felt like the kids liked me more than him. So he had gone to the pastor and he had told them, Susie is really, I was doing fun games with the kids and the high schoolers. And he was like, Susie is just really taking over and stopping me from being able to lead. And so the pastor's wife came to me. She was always the one that did the talking. Yeah, and
Wow.
the women, like the men would get the man talk from the pastor. The women was the pastor's wife. She was like, Susie, like, he just really feels like you need to step back. And I'm like, there's something wrong with him. There's something wrong with him. I got a bad vibe from him. Like, he should not be a youth leader. And I'm just doing what I can to help these kids because this guy's terrible. And she was like, Susie, you just need to lead from behind. Lead from behind.
Wow.
I'm like, what is happening? She's like, that is the best way you can be a leader in this situation. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Lead from behind. Like,
That you have to be just like, let him be in the spotlight. And if the kids want you to do something, encourage them to be like, oh, Pastor so and so, you can do that. Or go ask
the-
Pastor so and so. You just have to take your
yes,
hands off of it. And it's so sad that like he wasn't manly enough to be okay with somebody being better than him. There's so many beta boys in church, you guys. Like that drives me nuts too. Be a man. Come on. Don't. Why would you go and gripe to the pastor and pastor's wife about another woman who the kids like better than you? Come on.
and it's so funny how like the chain of command, he had to go to them, who then went to the pastor's wife, who came to me, and I just couldn't talk directly to him, even though we're hanging out and doing stuff together.
It's
No,
so stupid.
pastor's
Yeah.
wife over and then down. And finally, and I was just like, me, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna see my way out of this because that is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it was just so fun to be able to say, no, I'm not gonna do this. I am done. It definitely didn't stop me from jumping into other projects at other churches. But I,
Do you think that's like a thing from your past, like being in like the ministry and then like you go to a church, you feel like I can't just sit here and not do anything.
yeah.
Do you think that's like something that like from your upbringing, like you feel like you can't just be a church member and go or
Yes, and I think so, like it's ingrained in you about the talents, and like you were just taught like your spiritual gifts are going to waste if you do not use it. And then, like in the last few years, there was stuff about you have to say yes to the Lord's calling, or else like He will not bless you. And so you have to be involved, whether it's teaching Sunday school, women's ministry,
yeah.
running, putting on a whole vacation Bible school show for the week, like putting together the curriculum. We've done like men and women's like retreats. I mean, helping out with funerals. We did so much at one church that, and I was doing a lot of it. I'm like, come on, Sean, do it with me. And then that's when the pastor's wife was like, you know what? You guys could really use love and respect. Read this book. It's going to help your marriage. But then he was like, you know what's even better? Why don't you put on the entire retreat for Valentine's Day for all the men and women in the church? Sean was like, what is happening?
What?
We were just reading that book. You were like helping us as I'm not even going to call it counseling because we were just reading a book, and every once in a while the pastor would be like on a Sunday, hey, how's it going? Slap your back. Hey, everything fine? And then he was like, Sean, you want to get more involved in the men's ministry? And then Sean's like, sure, I'll come to some of the Saturday breakfasts. And then he was
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, why don't you plan a mission trip to Mexico? You can be the one to plan it. And Sean's no, no
So
way.
he said no.
Yeah, he said no. And I was like,
Oh, okay, good for him.
how are you able to do that so easily? Aren't you worried about like death and destruction from the Lord above? And he's just, no, I'm not worried. I'm totally unprepared and
Yeah.
capable of planning a whole men's mission trip to Mexico. He's,
Yeah.
where did that even come from? I just said I wanted to come to a Saturday breakfast.
Yeah. The Lord has called you to be our personal travel agent.
So much money from every person, and your job is to go get all that money and figure out how much it costs to go down and do a
Yeah.
work trip to Mexico. And then Sean's
Yeah.
no. And I was thinking, that is beautiful. Like, I'm going to start doing that more. And then I didn't, but then I did. It took a while. I mean, like, it's so hard to break out of that. It really,
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
You're trained. And I think back now, I'm like, all those poor people that had to hang out with me that just, as I word vomit, all the stuff that I had heard for all those years, and oh, the Lord's going to work it out. But where I'm like struggling in my own life, and then I'm just telling someone else that. And you're like, there, it'll work out. And then it's
I know.
like, I just,
I've been there. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. And then it's walk away and think, That probably wasn't very good, but I'm just being honest. You know, my spiritual gift is calling out BS. That's my spiritual gift.
No,
That's all.
love that we have this podcast because that is how I've always wanted to do that. And I finally feel free, like to be
Uh,
able to spiritual BS. It's beautiful.
yeah. Yeah. Isn't it?
Oh my gosh, it's just so great. And I feel like I'm so free now to say no. And I just have no problems doing that anymore. And I will never put on another bridal shower or baby shower. What's the word? I think because those were some of the worst. Funerals, like also the worst. And just
Yeah.
where you're just offering this information to people that are wholly unprepared for the situation they're about to get into. So I think the last bridal shower I went to, like the gal, she's like 20. She's like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get married. And then in 3 years, we're gonna start a family. We're gonna do this, we're gonna buy a house. And she had her whole life planned out. And I was just like, good luck with that. You're ridiculous. And no one here at this wedding shower is gonna tell that to you because you're like so young and naive, but
Yeah. Yeah.
like good luck.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. You don't have a clue, but
Yeah.
oh man, now I really want to know if she's divorced or whatever now.
I don't know. I don't even talk to them anymore. Like when
Mm.
being very like brutally honest about all the stuff that's happened and that like you said, like the sausage gets made and turns out there was pesticide in it. um poison. Really.
Yeah.
And it's
Poison.
yeah, and we're like really
Yeah, the sausage was actually spam. It
right.
was fake meat.
Yes.
It was imposter meat,
Yeah.
just stuffed in a casing.
It's not real. And everybody's saying, yeah. Oh my gosh. Um,
Probably ordered from Amazon Prime.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. You know what's like totally gonna happen now where like Amazon's gonna start putting out like pre-printed bulletins for people and like for churches and oh, you want a vacation Bible school set? Here's all your stuff, including all the decorations and everything. Like I I remember I went on like Oriental Trading Post is
Oh, yes, I remember that.
yeah, that was the place for all of those like
Yeah, Vacation Bible School stuff, and yeah.
500 foam crosses for thing of bubbles that says we love Jesus. And then they're like, our budget is $150 Vacation Bible School. And then all that stuff costs like 500. And then I just look at Sean, I'm like, what do we do? And
Yep.
like with my kids now, I would never force them to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Never. I just love that they're just so much more like Sean, where they're like, I don't think so. Like, they would just be like, why are we doing all this stuff for everyone else?
Yeah.
And no one is saying thank you or offering to help.
Yeah.
Trying to explain the
Yeah.
inner workings of church to them. Like they would just not get it. They would not understand, and it would really hurt their feelings.
Yeah. Even if you explained it to a kid, would be like, why are we going then?
Yeah,
What is, but yeah, it's just one of those things. You go to church, either you're in ministry or you're a member, and you either see behind the scenes or you don't. But it's my biggest thing is don't be a hypocrite. If you're going to church and you're, especially if you're up on the platform, don't be sending inappropriate pictures to people in your membership. Like, that's
no,
just, and don't be trying to break up the worship band and talking crap about other people in the worship band.
that's so true. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's just so many things about it. Like I think my biggest one that I regret saying yes to was the vacation Bible school where I had to put it
Oh,
on myself. And the thing about it is that I'm like, what are we doing sermon wise? Let's try to match it up with what the summer series is. And then the pastor's just, I'm just led by the spirit of what we're going to talk about. And I'm like, no, I need a plan. And so I ended up coming up with Voice of the Martyrs, this group that talks about all the martyrs around the world that are being martyred for Christendom and like standing up for your faith. And so that entire week, we set up all the rooms as like different parts of the world and like jail
mm,
cells and people, different like leaders of the faith throughout the years who have been martyred. And that's fine. I ended up having to work. And so I just had to beg other people to lead and be in charge of it all. And that was hard. It's so hard to get volunteers on that stuff. And but I did got volunteers. And now when I look back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, basically I put all the kids in church in jail cells. Well, like in one section, they had to like crawl, like they were crawling to a secret church service in China. And then they like crawl into this one poor gal who was a teacher during the school year, just sat in this tiny corner of a room that we made into this maze. And she just told the kids, like, hey, you're coming to a secret church service. And then they had to crawl out of the what the heck are we doing? It's so crazy, but then everyone just loved it. Like it's so out of left field that
Yeah.
and I just pulled it out of hat. What was I thinking?
I don't know. Maybe it reminded me when you were saying that, it reminded me of those, what do they call them? Like hell houses, where at Halloween, instead of the kids going to a haunted house, they come to a church and they go through this whole thing about you just died in a whatever car accident or something. And then they take you into this building and it looks like hell. And then you're going through all this stuff. And then you end up in front of God and he's like, why should I let you into heaven? And you're like, I don't know. And then you get cast into hell with all these demons and you hear like people screaming in this room
Right.
that's dark. It was strobe lights flashing and they got like masks on. Oh yeah.
Oh
I've
yeah.
heard of people going to those things and maybe you got that concept from that. Maybe we could do like a more interactive experience for the kids, which I get it. Because it's like you want numbers, right? You want to say on Sunday,
It's
a
not really
thousand
about
kids got saved.
that's the
Yeah.
how much sausage got made. And
Yes.
could you do it with how many volunteers were you able to get? And how many kids actually showed up? And then like how many parents started coming after that to be there that were actually regular attenders? And then how much tithe was made? And
Yeah.
also all about the numbers. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes like all those little kids that went through that experience, one, did they hopefully see that what we experience in the Western United States is nowhere near, don't ever call what we're going through persecution, but also
Right.
did it actually change their lives or was it really, or were they like, oh my gosh, I hope I never get martyred for Christ because I'd have to crawl through this hellhole
Yeah.
everywhere.
I think we could probably say they probably have some religious trauma from it.
They do. Oh, they totally do. And I apologize to every kid who went to any vacation Bible schools I put together. Honestly, it was like the equivalent if I had just set up like concentration camps and forced kids to be like, this is what it's like at the World War II.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, like I can't believe that the pastor was the pastor and then also the youth pastor gave this all a go. And then just let me
They wanted the numbers, Susie.
oh
That's all it
yes.
was.
And like
They
the
were like, scare as many kids as you can into getting saved.
scares me that transform the church in an amazing way that like people are gonna be like, we are the coolest church ever. What's so interesting is that I was like, let's do something different because like all the other Baptist churches in town were doing like the same vacation Bible schools. And after we got the kids and we did one summer of that, they're like, Mom, it's the same every 3 weeks in a row. It was all about dinosaur digging for Jesus, and where they were like, evolution's not real, but we're dinosaurs. And then there was one that was thrown in there that summer of Goliath, David and Goliath, where you're fighting with superheroes against all the bad stuff. But the kids were
Of
like,
course.
so I think on some level, I was like, let's do something different and go for the martyrs.
Yeah.
It's
I
so
bet that
awful.
totally slapped.
Every other Baptist church everywhere in our town in the face. They were like, dang it. And that sets the standard for vacation Bible schools everywhere.
So fun. We have the best time. And you know what, you guys, like that, if you can't laugh about it, I don't even know. Just you got to, or you're gonna go nuts. You just gotta laugh about it. I saw this TikTok the other day. I was crying laughing. This guy was like in his car and he was taking like a video of himself and he had this little bag of communion wafers that he literally bought at the store. He was like, look, you guys, I have the body of Christ in this bag. I think he was Catholic growing up. So he was like, let's give it a go. So he opens it up And he takes a bite and he's like, and you know how they all taste like cardboard? It's like
Oh,
disgusting.
yeah.
So he's like taking it, he's crunching it, and he was like, oh, it tastes like religious trauma. I'm like, that's amazing. Yes, that's if you could put that into a meme of my whole church experience or our whole church
Yes.
experience, it tastes
Yeah.
like religious trauma, everyone. That's what it tastes like, if
It
you're
does.
wondering.
Oh my gosh, perfect way to end that. And I will
Yeah.
tell you that since we went to that one church where they dip the bread in juice, we do that all the time here. The kids love it.
You dip bread in juice.
Kids do. They think it's so great. And they're like, "Oh my God," because I bought some grape juice to go with vodka. And they were like, actually it was cranberry raisin. And then they're
Oh,
like,
cranberry vodka. Yeah.
that's like the communion one we went to with the bread.
Yes.
Sliced bread. You dip it.
Okay, so I got a question for you. So remember when you said the one time you went to your friend's Catholic church and you wanted to partake in communion and they said, no, you can't because you're not Catholic. Are you able to at this new one? Okay, then I got a solution for you. Take your flask with your grape juice and vodka and just swig it during the communion and be like, yes,
Be perfect.
whatever
Oh my
they
gosh,
say.
I love
And
it.
peace be to you.
Yes, yeah. And they're literally like, peace, peace. And I love it so
They
much.
do this?
Yes, they're literally like, peace.
Oh, that's totally gangster.
Oh, I know. It's so
They're
awesome.
like,
Like, I love
peace.
it. Peace. And it's so great. Like I love it. What's so cool is when they do the communion, they just pull off the little not rag, but tablecloth thing away from
Yeah.
the body of Christ.
Oh man.
The magicians
Like a
that
magic show.
yes, can pull off the table and it's still there and you pull off and then it's all there and then like people actually bow if they're gonna get up and leave. Like they genuflect. Like we had to look it up. This is how you're supposed to if you get up and leave in the middle the body of Christ is out in the open, you bow down. I'm like, this is so fancy. We're just hanging
It
out.
is fancy.
It's like I'm dating now at a very fancy restaurant. But
Now I want to play that Reba song that David like fancy.
fancy, I know. Yes, yeah. Here's one chance, fancy. You can have.
Yes.
But no, I'm like, we're just gonna dip our toes in the Catholic water, holy water. We're not because oh, I saw
You're not steeping in the tea though.
no, we are not. We are not. The kids, they want to because the other, I told my son, I'm like, you know what you just did. We should talk to the priest and you can go to communion. He's gonna send me to hell. Do you want that, mom? I'm gonna be sent to hell. And I was like, let's just give it a shot and see what happens. You tell him what you've done and just see what he says. And he's like, he's gonna tell me I'm going to hell. And I'm like, so nice to know you.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny. Wow.
I really don't think he's gonna send you to hell just for the stuff you did. But I'm like, I really don't know how the Catholic Church works for their like,
Yeah. Yeah, what their protocols are for that.
although he just got in trouble at school for some stuff he did. I doubt they're gonna send him to hell for that. But I'm like, I really don't think they have that power, son. Even if they did, you just tell them no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hell for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I know. Hey, we were always scared into getting saved multiple times growing up because it's like, yeah. If you've ever done this or if you ever, I was a good kid. I know you were too. We were good kids because we were scared that God was going to do something to us if we were bad kids. And it's then you'd go to some youth conference or something and they'd, of course, then they all have the bonfires where you got to throw your cassette tapes, your rock and roll. We had tapes back then, guys, and then we got CDs later on. But you'd have to throw your stuff into the bonfire and recommit yourself, rededicate yourself
Right.
to God or get saved again, whatever.
Oh my
And
gosh, yes. Yeah. That's so funny because I think we could almost do a whole episode on how many times you've gotten saved.
oh, yeah.
For me, there was all these people who were like, "Oh, it's my Christian birthday. This is when I got saved." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't remember that, like the actual date, but then you'd have a party for that person because they got saved on that day.
Yeah. And then there would be preachers who would get up and be like, if you don't remember the day
Yeah. You're
If
not
you don't
saved.
remember the day, then you're probably not saved, because you would remember that day. And what if I was like 5 or 8 or whatever?
War. And I remember very much. And I did not have a really true big, like, I was a drug addict and then I got,
Right.
and yeah, it was all like, yeah, it was steeped in. I was going to say I'm a drug addict now. Just joking. I'm a reverse salvation. What is it, like reformation, reverse reformation, where you're,
Yeah, you're backslidden, Susie. You're
oh, yeah,
backslidden.
yes, yeah.
Yes. Were you thinking reprobate?
Oh yeah, I'm a reprobate. Yes.
Reprobate, yeah.
I'm a reprobate. Oh my gosh. This is so great. Definitely a whole nother conversation about how we can have, this is gonna be great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been fun.
You really,
And yeah, we like doing our episodes together and just blowing off some steam sometimes and laughing about stuff that we had to deal with. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate that listen. And if you can't relate, count yourself lucky. But we so thoroughly enjoy doing this and having y'all here. And thank you so much for your support. And if I'm just going to ask a little favor, if you guys would please go to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, or Spotify, Apple, or any of the platforms that you might listen to the podcast on, and just hit the little like bell or subscribe button. That helps us because it gets us into the algorithm and then puts us out there more for everybody to find our podcast. And we would really appreciate if you guys did that. Anyways, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for supporting us, and we'll see you next time.
thanks everyone. Bye. Healing is a process, a journey to be experienced, not just a destination.
You are not alone in this. It's okay to take your time, explore different perspectives, and find what resonates with you. Healing takes courage, and we believe in you.
Together, we can enjoy the ride.